Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Oh, sorry, I was getting an echo that was not good there. My bad. Week 18, Andy. We get to put a bow on the regular season.
Final regular season podcast. No Thursday night football tomorrow. Schedule's a little goofy. Obviously a strange week, a somber week, but for now, and I really didn't. I was thinking it was like 30% chance they pushed the week back. And just like, I had no idea what they're going to do with the schedule. Looks like everything's normal, although for some reason they came out with the schedule. And then earlier today, I found out that the Bengals Ravens game got moved to the afternoon on Saturday, even though the schedule was not to be tampered with. Said we're not adjusting it, but they did move that game. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens with some of this. If they do play this, I'm not going to sit here and waste time speculating and go through all the different, well, what if we have the AFC teams play this week and then do a bye and have that 1 week 19 game? Like, well, if you want that, it's on your Twitter timeline all over and in every group chat you've ever been in. So you can get it there. I don't know what the right answer is. I actually do. There is no right answer. There's no way to properly get this game in that doesn't negatively affect someone. Someone's going to get hosed here. And it's tough. The NFL's in a tough spot. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't have any speculation on what's going to happen. I feel like whatever's going to happen is going to be the wrong answer since the NFL's in charge. And Troy Vincent is lying to people.
Yeah, well, there is that.
It's his job. I mean, I don't blame him. That's what they hire him to go lie to the public. No,
I guess we got to start here. Monday was really, really rough. That was a very stark reminder of the realities of the game. Some of the dumping on the NFL for the 5-minute warning, some of the kind of like really going hard at people who had terrible tweets in the moment, I thought was a little deflecting, a little bit of kind of people not really willing to live with the reality of, we care about and we watch a sport that is ultimately extremely violent and put, lives, there's a risk here that, any given day, any guy is not going to, walk off the field. And it's rough to kind of be starkly faced with that reality, especially in a game of that magnitude with that much attention in a standalone kind of primetime spot. It was it was scary. It was sad.
I thought about that a little.
It was rough.
I'm like, what if this? And I hate to even speculate, but what if this is like a 3:00 game that's not nationally televised? It's like Jags Titans or something, one of those.
Yeah.
I think it's still.
Yeah, it doesn't stop the slate. I'll tell you that much.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't stop the slate. But no, and real quick, my kind of, I don't want to go hard on the NFL anymore because I've done that all week. But like, it's not as if Roger Goodell called Joe Buck and the referees and said, "You guys have 5 minutes. Announce that. We don't give a shit. We're the NFL and we don't care. The show goes on." But by not intervene, like those refs, that's the rule. Those refs go by what they know. And they said, like, the refs probably made that announcement because they're like, shit, are we going to hear something from New York? Like, unless we hear something from New York, we have to start this game, right?
Yeah.
So the main mistake the NFL made was just not getting a hold of the stadium crew, not getting a hold of the head referee as fast as possible, and being like, all right, guys, let's take 3 deep breaths and figure out if we should restart this game. I think that's probably what happened. So they're not without blame, but it's not like Roger Goodell hit a button and the ref picked up a pager and it said, "Start the fucking game back up, asshole."
Yeah, no, and I think No, I give everybody a pass here because realistically,
Yeah, it's a very unique situation.
yeah, we've seen primetime games where guys got knocked out, taken off on a stretcher, gone to the hospital for concussions. Shit, it's happened to the Bills this year. It happened. It happened
in the weekend.
It happened to Sweat this weekend. It happened on this field in a standalone game with Tua doing the fencing move, right? Like it, there is enough of this that sort of the expectation is, well, the show will go on here, but this was unique. And the fact that it was as serious as it was in the moment, and all the players really kind of were, front and center for what was, a death on the field that, and he was revived, thank goodness. But it was pretty one of one, and hopefully never happens again, and hopefully there are lessons learned from this. But either way, the questions we have to ask ourselves now, and where we have to take this discussion is, well, what do we do with this information? Bengals Bills going to be played, 9-0 chance it just becomes a no contest, and the Bengals and the Bills finish with 16 games this season. And then the playoffs are seeded as is. The Bills lose out on the 1 seed. Tough shit. If that's the reality, even if the Bills beat the Patriots and the Chiefs beat the Raiders, then the futures markets were priced incorrectly all day yesterday because the Chiefs scoop an enormous amount of equity from getting the 1 seed relative to the 2 seed here. And I think that the Bills Bengals, would we like to see the game played? Obviously, we'd like as fair as possible playoff field here, and the Bills deserve a little bit more of a fair shake to retaining the 1 seed, considering the circumstances. But it's there's no easy answer. There's no good way to deal with this now. Schedules, we're up against the schedule, and I think to a degree, the results of what happens in Week 18 will determine whether that game ever gets played.
I never go conspiracy theory, Andy. I try not to. I never want to go full tinfoil, but if I start watching the fucking Patriots game and the Patriots are getting every call, I'm going to be forced to, because nothing almost completely bails them out of having to play that game more than the Patriots winning.
Sure.
The Patriots win would be huge for the league, as far as we can probably get away with not playing that game. So if the refs are lopsided in that one, I might finally start listening to you assholes with your conspiracy theories.
So just kind of spitballing then, probability that the Bills game gets played in your mind. The Bills Bengals game gets made
50-50.
50-50. Oh, wow.
Well, just the likelihood of the games playing out this weekend where it becomes a very important game are high. I know it's not almost certain, but a decent chance that the Bengals just win the division this weekend because there's no Lamar.
Sure.
But the 1 seed would still be up for grabs. But that feels like, man, what I mean, again, I said I wasn't going to speculate on workarounds. I don't know. I'm still I'm 50-50, but I feel like I'm high just because I'm optimistic, or I want to. I feel like I'm tilted because I want to see it.
Okay. I'm much lower. I don't think that. I think that I'm maybe like 80%, 75%. It doesn't get played at all. And the Bills just take it on the chin and go into the playoffs as the 2 or the 3 seed or whatever it ends up being. The next question, I guess, then is, does this have a galvanizing effect on the Bills, or is this now a distraction and an issue that derails their chances for a championship run? Where would you fall on that spectrum?
I don't know. It's really going to come down to the leadership there, the coaching, the players that other players look up to. I mean, anyone who's ever been on a team, even if it's a basketball team where you only have 10 guys, there are always, the older kids, if you're in high school or even in college, there's always people you look up to. There's people in the locker room that how the team goes, how those guys go. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's the veteran players, it's the stars, it's the people that have taken those leadership roles. It really comes down to them. And I think we're going to find out. I think this game we see this weekend will be a microcosm of where that's heading. I think you'll be able to tell where they're heading in the playoffs more so by how this Patriots games goes this weekend. And I've said it too. I said this yesterday with Jimmy. I said it's a really nice teaser leg that I'm not going to use because I don't know how they're going to react to this. This is the pits, man. No one said that in 50 years. The pits.
This is the pits.
Rats. Yeah.
Yeah. In the moment, kind of in the immediate afterglow of this, when it was like, okay, well, he's seems like he's pulling through. Like we're starting to get positive news. I was like, all right, yeah, Bills like tragedy angle. Let's fucking go. And then the more I've thought about it, and the more I kind of just specifically think about the uniqueness of this particular situation, I'm feeling it's more like a distraction. This is more likely to be impact sort of player performance.
Well, if I thought it was galvanizing, I'd have Bills in every teaser this weekend.
Yeah,
because there's some other legs that go well with it, but
this is not the way we wanted to end the season. I'll tell you that much.
Again, obviously, it's not the important. There's much bigger things in life, but as a fantasy football commissioner, I mean, as someone who plays in best ball, like it's been an enormous headache for people trying to sort that sort of stuff out. Like the fact that it was week 17, like the ultimate week for everything fantasy, DFS, best ball kind of stuff. Like just the messes around that. Like I had to text, actually 2 people I texted said they're hopefully joking. They said they were going to buy drugs with the money and split it. Don't do that, guys.
Yeah, I definitely thought the Shazier injury changed the way that the Steelers played defense for like the rest of that season and maybe even into the next season. Like there was definitely players who were playing a little differently with their intentions in terms of putting their head down and trying to hurt a guy.
And I mentioned that too because we have a friend of the show, Brinson, who has a pretty live team in best ball, and he needed a big game out of Higgins. And I said that too. Like even if they replay this or they play this later in the week, I'm like, he doesn't look like his head's in a very good spot right now too. Like that's for sure affecting him mentally. So
sure.
It's been a whole thing.
And so then that's the final question, and we'll move on. Does this have a broader impact across the league in terms of the way defenses play this week?
Probably, maybe this week, but not long term. It's
not long term. Yeah,
no, but I did mention
fluky.
that
People are going to come into next season, and it's not necessarily going to be on the front of everyone's mind. But certainly, considering the stakes this week for a lot of these games, are there business decisions made on the defensive side of the ball?
Because I mean, how many times a week do you see a defensive player lay out an offensive player, and the guy, he's not seriously injured, but he stays down for a minute, or he has to take off for a play? Like, I don't know how I'd feel about being the guy laying one of those hits in a game where it's like, hey, both these teams are eliminated, or just you're eliminated from the playoffs. Like in a meaningless game, it feels even worse. Like, hey, that was like a really important game, and those guys were going all out, and it was a fluky kind of thing, but it might feel a little weirder to do that. But at the same time, it's still their job. It's an absolutely a meritocracy where your next contract is based on stats and film, so you can't be taking plays off. So
okay, well,
and Dan, I don't know. I obviously it's not the same as the hockey injury, but man, when it happened, I can't think of the name of the hockey player now. That guy played like later that week.
Sure.
Obviously, this is much more severe, but I'm not Chris Pronger. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if doctors would clear him like next year if he. I'm not a doctor. I haven't read up enough on any of this to know if there's like long-term effects.
I mean, if he has no long-term brain or body effects, then that's a win. If he gets back on the field, that's a different conversation entirely. All right. Well, let's talk about Saturday's games, and let's go with the completely unbelievable beneficiaries of all this somehow in the Kansas City Chiefs. Interesting market here where the Chiefs take on the Las Vegas Raiders and Jarrett Stidham, who people came out of the game against the Niners thinking, well, Stidham was a little plucky. I dare you, Stidham, to do it again. This is not a
Fool
great
me
matchup.
once.
This is not a great matchup. Kansas City has all of the pieces to make the Las Vegas Raiders defense miserable here. The question just becomes, can Stidham hang with Pat Mahomes score for score? Kansas City defense, I would give the clear advantage. Don't really know what we're going to get in terms of skill position players, in terms how many snaps for Jacobs, how many snaps for Adams, how many snaps for Waller. Those guys, as far as I can tell, you aren't playing for much now in terms of incentives, so they may get a healthy amount of this game off. Kansas City market was initially hot on Vegas for whatever reason, and then has completely flipped and has been one-way action Kansas City since. I still think there's value in Kansas City at 9.5. I would have made this one 10. Not a huge edge, but realistically, this could get ugly. Pat Mahomes trying to lock up MVP. I mean,
I don't think he has to do much. Just don't throw 9 picks. Don't assault a fan during the game. I guess maybe if he went on, found a camera and started yelling slurs and epithets, I'm not sure what he would have to do to lose it at this point. I do have a theory when we get to the Bills game. I'll talk about it a little more conspiracy theory-ish too. But I did play this in a teaser earlier in the week. This was 7.5. Good work. Day.
Good work by you.
I feel like there's still some places that have 8.5 9s. If his brother comes out on the field, they should take it away from him. That's actually a good call, Saul. Chiefs Steve makes sense, I guess. It's not a great matchup. And what we saw the other week, what we thought we were going to see was, they're sitting Carr. Maybe they sit a bunch of other players. I think that's probably this game. Like, you start to see, hey, Josh Jacobs, good job. Take a lap, sit down.
What? There's still a 20% chance here that the Raiders win this game by the market. Is there?
I think the market's a little wrong.
You think the market's okay? Okay, well,
I don't have it that high. Like
non-zero chance that the Raiders win this game. If that happens and the Chiefs fall out of the 1 seed because of that loss, does that change people's MVP voting? Considering we are on the eve of the playoffs, like, I guess what has to happen to take this away from Mahomes? Because there are some books that are taking meaningful limits on Mahomes MVP still, which is surprising, frankly.
So my only, I don't know that Burrow can, like, I guess if Mahomes has a poopy game, like, first off, a poopy game would be a big part of it. But I think even just a ho-hum game where he has like 1 touchdown, it's not a great game. Maybe he doesn't throw a couple picks or anything, but it's not a great game. But if they do play the Bills game and it's all by itself,
sure,
and we get Bills Cincinnati, and it's like Josh Allen, it's like the Brett Favre after his dad died game. Like, the media can't stop talking about it. And I hate to be using Hamlin's injury as something to handicap with, but like, that's going to be mentioned a trillion times. Josh Allen playing with a heavy heart.
Sure.
If he comes out in an absolute massive narrative game like that, where he just beat the tar out of the Bengals by himself, playing for his injured brother, and it's a standalone game and it takes the 1 seed, you might flip the vote completely. Like, that's a big enough fucking huge narrative, like, game that no one will ever forget for 100 years kind of thing, that takes it away from Mahomes. But Mahomes is, he has so many of the counting stats and he's so good. I think even that might not be enough.
There's 3 problems with that though, Andy. One is that game has to happen.
Yeah, no, that
game has to happen before the voting.
I put Mahomes. Well, and that's the thing, but I think they would hold off on it if there was regulars.
And then he actually has. Then he has to do that.
So I put Mahomes. I think I put Mahomes at 96.3% right now, and if the game isn't played, that's 100%.
Okay, interesting.
Because I do think there's a 0.1% chance that
and
Burrow throws 5 touchdowns, gets the 1 seed or some shit like that, wins the division. He'd have to have a massive game against Baltimore too. He throws like 9 touchdowns over 2 weeks, maybe flips some second place votes from here and there, and there's some sort of split between the 3 of them with the ranked choice voting that ends up with him. So
the problem is
I don't think you can just unload all your accounts on Mahomes.
The most realistic way the game gets played that we've heard postulated is they do NFC playoffs next week, Bills-Bengals, and then the following week the NFC playoffs are on bye, and they do AFC wildcard, right? I think in that scenario, they probably vote when they were intending to vote in the first place, which is before the Bills-Bengals game gets played. Yeah. So keep that in the back of your mind if you're thinking about all this, I think. I'm not going to
I am not making a case. Yeah. I'm not making a case to add Allen at his current price, like even at 16 to 1.
Well, I was going to ask you, if you can bet Mahomes, is this one of those like
I don't think it's a
number
good
one pick in the draft kind of things. Like you don't have to wait you don't have to let them hold your money for all that long, and it's not priced right. Mayweather McGregor shit. All right, well, let's move on to Tennessee Jacksonville. Nervous about this one.
I think honestly, even if I didn't have the Jags futures, I would have grabbed that Titans +7 on the opener like I did.
Yes.
That number was a little off. Again, I think it's more of a Stidham situation where, all right, well, now we can actually prep for you. But like, even if that's the case, Josh Dobbs is a better passer than Malik Willis.
Yes.
Because Malik Willis is like on a scale of 1 to 100, he's like a 3. He's just not very good at it. Like he's really nice legs, but man, it's not going to happen.
Not a pro arm, right?
It's not going to happen with him. He doesn't have an NFL arm at this point. So Dobbs is an upgrade. A guy in Tractor Cito who has put on he's been around the globe 3 times over his career so far running the ball. Like him getting 2 weeks to rest, the team getting extra rest, the Jaguars being forced to play on a Saturday after playing their starters for part of the game. Everything is kind of tilted in the Titans' favor. That said, they're not as good as the Jaguars, and it's a road game. So the number should be like 5, I think. So I if there's some 6.5s, I would not fault anyone for taking the Titans and thinking this is a close game.
Yeah. I am holding out hope that the Jaguars still win because I have a bunch of big bets on them to win the South. Jags by 4. Beauty. Oh, that would be nice. I don't even really want this to be a sweat. The Jaguars, for what it's worth, match up extremely well with their passing attack versus the Titans' passing defense, but they match up extremely poorly with their rushing attack versus the Titans' rushing defense. So basically, if Trevor Lawrence has a game, they win. If Trevor Lawrence is inconsistent at all, then they are live to lose. I don't want to see the Titans in the playoffs. I don't think anyone does. I think the Jaguars, if they get into the playoffs, are a fun, feisty team to cheer for some chaos. The Jaguars defense should be able to contain this Titans offense, even with Dobbs as a little bit more of a dynamic passer than anything else they could try out there. But this kind of entirely comes down to Trevor Lawrence being the guy and having like a 300, 400-yard game and just, kind of looking the way he has looked when he has looked well this last half of the season. And you know what? He's at home and he's up against the guys that don't really have great coverage. And the pass rush for the Titans hasn't really been there for a little while just because of injuries. So no excuses.
Yeah, the Chargers are cheering for the Titans. Like that'd be a nice. I think they end up at the 5. So this would be the 4. Yeah, this would be the 4 seed, no matter what. Yeah. So the Chargers most likely end up as the 5 seed. So Chargers are cheering for the Titans to pull one out somehow because it's a decent matchup for them, even with their bad run defense. I think I'd rather face Dobbs than Trevor Lawrence. So
Chargers just beat the shit out of the Titans?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
Month, something like that. So,
okay.
yeah, no strong takes other than I still think the Jags shouldn't be this big of a favorite. It's not a great matchup. It's not a great matchup for their defense, truthfully. They're going to give up some chunk yardage to Henry.
Yeah, I take it back.
It needs to be bend but don't break kind of thing.
Yeah, I take it back. They didn't beat the shit out of the Titans. They beat them by 3 at home. We win.
Yeah, I straight up could not remember that game.
Wins a win. Chargers haven't really beaten the shit out of anyone except for the Colts lately. I guess the Rams too. Whatever. All right, let's keep moving. All right, let's go Jags. Get it done through the air, please. Jets Dolphins. Jets are eliminated. Dolphins are not. Jets have Mike White. And Dolphins have Skylar Thompson.
This is the one I'm worried about. No, this is the one I'm worried about your narrative because the Jets don't have anything to play for. Yeah. And it's their defense that can keep this to a disgustingly low total. I did take a little bit of this under because you can you should set this at 35. It's Skylar Thompson versus a top 10 defense. Like I don't see how the Dolphins score, and the Jets are favored. Nice job by everybody in here. You guys we're trying to do our recap and you guys wouldn't shut your damn mouths about the Jets being +4. You're absolutely right. I have a little bet on 3.5. I have no one to thank for that, but you guys, you opened my eyes to that immediately. Said, well, I bet that crosses and goes down to like 2.5.
One
cross 0 at this point. So Jets are actually favored some places, and yeah, it is a CLV bonfire perhaps, but I really think that I really think the Jets defense, if they even show up at 80%, good luck, Skylar Thompson. We'll see how that goes. And this is an ugly, low-scoring game because at the same time, it's not like we've seen much out of this Jets offense of late. So, Mike White has pumpkined. I'm expecting a 12-8 game. I always like to pick numbers that are hard to land on,
like 15, because then
people,
11,
people can't be like, "Oh man, you're."
Yeah.
At this point, the Dolphins are in a teaser spot almost.
I really don't know what to make of this game because there are 2 categories of eliminated teams in the final week of the season. Mm-hmm. There are the ones that just got eliminated, and then there are the ones that have been eliminated for a while. Right? And the just eliminated teams don't love getting off the mat. The ones that have been eliminated for a while, like sometimes they'll give you a game effort, you know? And so the Jets being in the category of just eliminated and the way it happened and the fact that they don't really have an answer at quarterback, all of that scares me off the Jets at all, really. And I hope that the good number grabs were our winners, but this looks like a very close game. Dolphins and Skylar Thompson, if you are wondering how he plays against the Jets defense, we know it ain't good. With his first relief effort for Teddy Bridgewater came against the Jets earlier this season. I had a lot of money on the Dolphins in that game, Andy. Didn't enjoy that one. It was a bad performance by Skylar. And
is it the Vikes?
No, that was against the Jets the first time.
Yeah. You were talking about the Jets game. I'm trying to think of that.
They lost 40-17.
The Vikings game was too knocked out for Teddy.
That's right.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks getting hurt. Teddy's fingers messed up at this point.
Yeah, Teddy was expected to be the starter against the Jets the first time around. He got knocked out after throwing one pass. Skylar Thompson then was not good. Skylar Thompson, I don't think is good. Although with the week to prepare, maybe a little bit better than in emergency duty like last time. Yeah, I like your under, or I like under.
I do think that the Jets get involved now. At least the Jets defense is playing for pride here.
Oh, sure.
They've had a really nice year. I don't think they want to go out with hey, the Dolphins beat us because what is the Dolphins playoff scenario? They need help.
Well, they just need the Bills to beat the Patriots, I think.
Yeah, but I thought there was one more game.
Pretty sure they're second in line right now. If the
Yeah,
Bills beat the
you're,
Patriots and they beat the Jets, then they're in. I think they're ahead of line. I think they're ahead of the Steelers in line, but I could be wrong.
I thought it was maybe the Steelers game, but I think you're right now. So Miami needs to beat the Jets, and then the Patriots lose the Bills. You're right, just those two things. So, and if you're the Jets, you don't want to be like the team that let your division rival into the playoffs. It's the same as the Cleveland game.
Sure.
Cleveland's probably going to play hard on defense.
Ooh,
so
let's get to that one.
yeah,
Love this one.
I bet the under.
Love this one. And I feel like I'm maybe a little bit too excited to bet the Browns late in the season. And again, it doesn't really matter.
I couldn't have jammed this into a teaser faster. And is right.
Teaser.
It is
City now.
Every time we fall in love with a teaser in the AFC North, it doesn't go well.
It doesn't work.
At least it isn't Baltimore, but it is a solid teaser leg. There's a quote from Myles Garrett already saying they're going to play hard. They don't want to let the Steelers into the playoffs. I think the Steelers would need. They do need the help, so they need this win.
They need the Jets, the Bills,
the Dolphins, and the Patriots to lose.
They need to win, right? Oh man. So the Steelers coming off a very physical win against the Ravens. We didn't ever really have a chance.
Stayed alive though.
Stay alive. Hard fought win by the Steelers. I've won a lot of money on the Steelers this season. I kind of can't believe it. I'm pulling the goddamn rug on them this week. This Steelers team stinks, and
even the market, Drew. The market is not steaming this up right now. Like the market has loved the Steelers for a month. I think in general the ripcord is being pulled.
Yeah, because I mean, you saw some flashes of this Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper. You saw some life out of that Cleveland offense, which signifies problem against the Steelers secondary. Browns coming in quasi healthy here. I think that they're not. There's nothing about the Browns that suggests throwing the white flag whatsoever.
As AJ's pointing out in the chat, they do have incentive to build a little confidence with the quarterback. Like, you sold your soul for this quarterback. You saw some glimpses of it working out between him and Cooper last week. Like, I'd want to see more of that. This is a very, very extended 2023 preseason. I want more of that. I want to see more chemistry between Watson and this offense. Defense is going to play well. And Kenny Pickett, despite that the game-winning drive, he's not very good. Like he hasn't been like wildly impressive.
Yeah, we agree on that. And on top of that, now good pass rush. Najee Harris was playing over his ability the last couple of weeks. He comes back to earth a bit, even though he's against a bad run defense. I think there are a lot of recipe here for the Packers. I mean, for the Browns, excuse me, to steal this one. Favorite side of the week, I think, for me is the Browns. Contests and whatnot.
I could be talked into just Browns straight up as well. Okay. I mean, we did it with the Steelers a little last week. Like, I had small Steelers straight up.
Browns team total over maybe too. They're going to score on the Steelers defense.
You're talking under 20.
Yeah.
Basically, get me to like 18.
Yeah, I think it's live. All right. Well, let's move on to the other one that I think is a decent bettable side, and that is the Texans. Now, another one that has come off the 3. So if you were slow to react here, now you're sort of staring at, do I play the money line? Do I play the first half? How do I attack this? The Colts should not be favored over any NFL team. They are the worst team in football. Sam Ellinger is going to start here in place of Nick Foles. A lot of other important pieces, a lot of other professional football players who are on the Colts don't look like they're going to be going for this one. Texans should be incentivized to lose, but are they actually going to, kind of play that brinksmanship game? It's very tough to say. I think the Texans are a fair play here.
What do you call it? Brinksmanship?
Like, do they pretend to give effort? right?
Sure.
Like, do they walk a line of "We're gonna win"? Oh,
Yeah.
no, we're not, right? Do you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like, do they just come in with "Nope, we're playing a football game, let's go win," or do they,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I feel you. And yes, if there were ever a team that could find a way to lose to a team that is trying to lose, it might be the Jeff Saturday Colts. The Texans are a teaser leg that you could use. This is just such a bad game overall. Like, if you got the 3, congrats. I can't bet this game, Drew. I understand that, like, the Colts are that bad. If there was ever a team, I mean, it would be a team that maybe gave up a 5-score halftime lead to a team that actually isn't even all that good. Maybe this Colts team is just that special that they could lose to a team with the biggest incentive ever to lose this game. Getting the 3 matters, I think, here. It should be an ugly, close game, but I can't do it. So
Okay.
I wish you luck, and it will be funny to me if the Texans win this game when they're not supposed to. Someone made a joke about like Lovey getting shit canned, and this is his revenge. Like, he knows he's not getting retained, so you ain't getting the 1 pick.
Yep. I don't know. I think you can play Texans first half if you don't like the full game because of the potential for literally pulling the rug.
And this is. I mean, we've had games every week that have gotten the designation, but this is the shower fart game of the year. I mean,
it's a bad one.
Yeah, it might be a shower diarrhea game, which is worst case scenario for anybody.
I feel like bathtub diarrhea is worse than shower diarrhea.
Oh my god, Drew. I will watch this game.
Okay.
Like, out of like morbid curiosity.
Surely. Let's keep moving down the card. The Arizona Cardinals next. Oh no, sorry, Tampa, Atlanta. So everything's out of order because of the time of day. Anyway, Buccaneers, Falcons is the 1 o'clock. Equal kind of no interest in this one.
So I did bet some Bucks first half. They are going to play starters, and I think they're posturing like, "Hey, we're playing our starters," where it's like, we're playing our starters, and you're not going to see a single one of them in the second half, kind of thing. Like, maybe even partway through the second quarter, you're seeing these guys comes out. So Bucks first half was plus 150. I put a small bet on that. I feel like that was it should be one of those games where we have the goofy preseason split, where it's Falcons -5 first half pick 'em. Or or the other way where it's like, Falcons -3 first half -3.5, where you get those goofy splits. I think it and some people get some good numbers. The Bucks were priced improperly to start the week as well. Like, people said they got +7.5 in them. That was a good way, but yeah, they are going to play their starters. This defense is getting healthier between Vea, Dean, and everybody in the secondary. And this is a huge mismatch for a Falcons offense. It just hasn't been good for this or last year. But I'm not excited about, a second half of backups. So I did take a little bit on the first half.
Okay. I like that. Buccaneers, I don't know what to make of them long term. No strong opinion. I guess
I feel like they win a playoff game just to piss us off.
The most likely playoff game that we know as we stand here today is going to be Buccaneers Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
What's that fair open?
Oh, I'd say 52.
What about the side?
Cowboys minus
52 is way too high, I think.
I know. I'm joking. I just do think I do think I'll bet that over. No, okay. I mean, you'd get like a 46, 47.
No.
You still think it's not that high?
I think that's way too high. Yeah.
The Cowboys defense is kind of beat up, and if you see anything from Evans and this receiving core this week, I think there's a decent case for like a Tampa team total over if you want to bet Tampa next week. Cowboys 3.5.
Okay.
I mean, it's still a
On
road
the
game.
road.
You gotta give them some credit there. So I'd have it as like probably 5 and a neutral, so 3.5.
Oof. That's interesting.
And I would bet it. I'd bet an over anything 45 or under. I'd bet an over. And I just it's still Tom Brady in the playoffs with good receivers against a beat up defense. I don't think people realize how bad this Dallas defense has had it for the last month. And I mean, it's been all season. So the Tampa Bay probably gets theirs on offense if they show up at all. And Dallas is a good offense, even against a getting healthy defense, like and on the road, I suppose. But like, I feel like the total's gonna be a little low.
Oh man, this is really tough. I'm out of shape thinking about this.
It's a really weird one because it's a very bad team that's hosting a playoff game.
And so it's a game a market we saw week 1 that was entirely fucking weird and different.
Yeah, Randy Mitchell points it out.
Crazy
Like
different.
Minshew put up 34 on this defense.
Yeah, that's true.
And he had AJ Brown, then Devonta Smith doesn't hurt. But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they did
I think
play.
it's going to be. I think it's going to be Dallas. I think it's going to be Dallas minus 348.
It's funny, yeah. AJ points out they did play week 1. The total was in the low 50s. I bet the under.
That was my biggest bet of the entire regular season.
What was it, like 13-6 or something hilarious? 19-6 maybe.
Yes.
I don't feel like Dallas's team. We did some Dallas team total under as well, and it was like 25 or something hilarious.
I think at halftime we went more under.
Yeah.
You were in Vegas.
We were in Vegas for that.
Yeah,
so.
I was. Yeah,
don't forget you're betting on Todd Bowles. That's correct. So just a little first half money line for me, and we're on to another game I can't bet. Oof. I can't bet this one.
Okay, New England, Buffalo. Oh, Carolina, New Orleans. Sorry. Panthers, Saints, 2 immediately eliminated teams. The Panthers should probably be 3-point dogs. Do you have the stomach to back them, having been recently eliminated? Total is 41.5. That sounds a little high. This game has all of the makings of a first half over, second half under in a meaningless kind of game. So that's my angle I'm going to be looking at. What do you think?
I did, again, they are eliminated, but I think the defense, even without Horn, playing for pride a little, and the Saints offense just doesn't show. Like, they have so many guys that are sort of hurt. Like, I wonder what kind of snap count we get on some of the good players for the Saints offense. This total is probably 2 points high for my liking. I think if this tickled under 30 or under 40, I wouldn't bat an eyelash. Like, the Panthers defense is still pretty good, and I don't think you see much from either offense in this one. So I took under. Again, nothing super strong this week, but I don't think this should be on the other side of 41 at least.
I think that's fair. That's a good look. No other thoughts on that game?
No, I mean it's 2 eliminated games. So does Buffalo take care of business? This is the one we talked about a lot in the preamble, and I said I'm uncomfortable with even putting Bills in teasers because I don't know where their head's going to be. I think this is a watch it live and bet it live kind of game.
Oh God, yeah. No, I can't play this one pre-flop at all. If they come flying out of the tunnel and the crowd's got them pumped up and they're playing with passion and inspiration, then they probably take care of business. But even if they do and things don't go their way, like there's a turnover or it's just not working or what the Patriots do, like that could spoil milk real quick.
Yeah, I lean 60-40 galvanization over, hey, we're still bummed because it's at home.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a bunch. Yeah. There'll be a bunch of posters. They'll do something on the TV, on the Jumbotron to kind of like, hey, everybody still be thinking about our guy Hamlin. And I think the team will be pumped up to, go out there and do it for him. But it's still like it's a very big distraction to try to go out there and play at a high level with this happening in your life. Yeah. So, like, I was thinking about this. Like, my wife recently had a coworker pass.
Okay.
I mean, and again, it was a heart attack, but it didn't happen at work, and not everyone saw it. And it was just something that happened to someone you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just right in front of you. And again, it's not the normal kind of job where it's like, hey, we're coworkers. No, you're brothers pretty much.
Sure.
You're going through the season together. It's just got to be. I mean, I saw how that affected people. Just thinking about how this, even a week later, how this is going to affect them is still kind of scaring me off. But I hope it's galvanization. I hope the Bills win by 1 million and just they can have a nice feel good week after what they've went through.
Yeah, another side effect of that would be it would keep Mac Jones and company out of the playoffs, which is fine.
I did say that yesterday to Jimmy. I said nothing would please me more than not having this team in the playoffs. Like we talked about we don't want to see the Titans in a playoff game. The Patriots, they have a fun defense. They have some good players on defense, but this offense is not something I want to watch on Wild Card Weekend, guys.
Right.
Not even a little bit. They've scored 3 straight weeks. They've had a special teams or defensive touchdown. This offense is not getting them there. So if the Bills don't throw a stupid pick 6, I think this might just be Bills going away, which hoping so.
Who gets into the playoffs if the Patriots lose, the Dolphins lose, the Steelers lose, and the Jaguars win? Who gets the wild card spot? Do you know? Is it go back to the Patriots? It comes back to the Pats?
No. Yeah, the Patriots are the 7. So the Dolphins, if the Patriots lose, the Dolphins have to win to get in. The Patriots can lose, and if the Dolphins and Steelers lose, they're still in.
Okay. So the Patriots, so we could realistically have this game 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
This could be your 2-7.
Yeah, so the Jags would get the division. Yeah, the Titans cannot get in a wild card. So New England can lose if Pittsburgh and Miami lose as well, which is not like
that's not that crazy.
Those are a couple coin flips. I mean, that parlay is not that big.
Yuck, yuck, yuck,
Yuck,
yuck.
yuck, yuck. I don't want to yuck your yum, but yeah, I don't want to see the Patriots in the playoffs. So not betting this one at all. On to the rest of the slate. Baltimore, Cincinnati, as we mentioned. We have Cincinnati to win the division futures. Should I take some Ravens +7, or can I take away the Jesus Christ? In what we did see of the Bills game, the Bengals look sharp.
Yes.
And this is not a Lamar game. This is in Cincinnati. This is home crowd willing them to their division title, realizing if we lose this game, there's a chance we might have to play that Bills game. This is one of the ways to close the book on the NFL having to play that Bills game is the Bengals just taking care of business. Same with the Bills Chiefs. Just make it all happen. Actually, the Patriots winning would be pretty good for the NFL as well in that right. I don't see it happening, but I'm not betting the Bengals because I essentially have bet the Bengals, at 3-1 to win this game. So I know I did it with the Titans, but I'm not as keen on a middle spot here with Ravens +7.
No, I'm not either.
I don't see a lot of scenarios where this is a close-ish game. There's a ton where it's like, oh, the Ravens offense doesn't have wide receivers or a quarterback against the Bengals defense. I don't know if Hubbard has a chance to play. That would be that'd be a bump.
I think not.
I think that's more of a playoffs thing.
Yes.
That would be a huge bump, but it's still a decent defense. And I mean, the Bengals offense is light years better.
Yeah. I'm there.
Yeah. Lamar missed his 900 straight practice. Even if this team,
yeah, 7 is a perfectly fair number to me. I can see a long tail to the Bengals winning by margin. If you're dying to play Bengals because you don't have them to win the North, I would just maybe look for some alts in case this gets out of control. Because Ravens aren't going score for score. We know that. If the Bengals are firing, if their offense is sharp, then they're going to run away with this one.
Where does Lamar play next year, real quick?
$1 million question.
I don't have a good take on that.
Probably $200 million question.
Yeah, because Brady sounds like he's going to jump around. Jump.
I mean, The Indianapolis is fond of stealing stuff from Baltimore, so maybe the Colts.
That actually wouldn't be a bad. Atlanta's not a bad landing spot. They get the gambler back. They get the receiving course shored up. They have some decent draft picks. Speaking of draft picks,
Tampa's not a crazy landing spot either.
Oh yeah, the gambler did get traded to Jack. Sorry, I forgot about that after he trade a player that can't play. Minnesota is up to 7.5 after the Fields news. It's funny it took him this long. The week that everybody talked about, like, hey, he's 60 yards and he has the rushing record, and then they unceremoniously bench him finally for his hip injury, which he's been carrying for a month. I guess he's not going to get his bell like every game too. He just gets his bell rung. I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm glad he's not.
This opened -1 at some places. I very much regret not betting a bunch of Vikings because even with Fields in Soldier Field,
the line didn't make sense. We talked about it on Sunday.
It really didn't. So Minnesota probably wins by. What I'll be watching for here is hopefully Kevin O'Connell just feeds JJ. Make sure we get some, and I did look at that a little earlier because I already have my teasers in, but now that this is a 7.5 and a lowish total, this isn't a bad teaser.
The Bears defense is not a thing,
non-existent. So
it doesn't exist.
My
Lions, if the
hope
Lions had tried to score 50 last week, they could have. I don't know. They called off the dogs. I agree.
I want to see everything dialed up for JJ.
That makes sense.
I want to see him 2,000 yard season.
Let's say, Vikings win this one in the first half probably, and just this is another good candidate for second half under. Circle it. What do you open Vikings Giants in Minnesota wildcard weekend, Andy?
3.
That's some respect for the Giants.
I mean, they should have beat them the first time. They were clearly the better team in that matchup, and Minnesota's floundering a little, and they're due for. I mean, everyone said, "Oh man, they used up all their aggression right at once against Green Bay." Nah, they have plenty left. They've won like 12 one game. Yeah, it should be Giants +3, I guess.
Did that close? What did that close? That closed 3.5 or 4 on Christmas Eve.
That sounds about right.
Let me look it up. 49.5. Ooh, big old total. They were lucky to get there, though, if I remember right. That game should have gone under.
Yeah. I feel like I might have had that over. Did it end up 24-24 at one point?
Oh, 4.5, 48 was the total.
I had a 48, and it landed on 24 all at one point.
4.5.
So the first matchup. Yeah.
The late move in that one was Giants, but that was after a full week of having gotten steamed Vikings. No real difference in personnel. Daniel Dimes playing with a little more confidence now, maybe.
Yeah, and not only that, but
first playoff game for Danny Dimes, though. So
it is the first playoff game for him. But Vikings have to play at the same time as the Niners, so they don't know. And granted, the Niners are a huge favorite, but as we saw last week, anything can happen with a rookie quarterback. You never know when he's going to turn into pumpkin. So Minnesota has to play starters. The Giants won't. And Dable was a dumb asshole when he first came out and said, like, yeah, we're not resting guys. Like right after the game, he was he was high on adrenaline from, getting in. And then later in the week, he had a presser and said, yeah, I'm talking to Joe, Shane, and, we're discussing, we're going to do what's right for the team. Like the Giants, like Saquon probably rests. So, I mean, you get a rested Saquon, you get a bunch of rested players heading into this Minnesota playoff game. Like everyone's joked all year about Minnesota just losing in the first round, but it's kind of lining up for a not so great spot for Minnesota now. Weird.
Okay.
Not so great spot for Minnesota would be having to play another NFL team. So. Ramathorns versus the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Seahawks have everything to play for, but it's still a division game.
Big number.
Baker's playing for something here. Like he wants to keep working, obviously.
So I know it's a little different because the Rams were just at the Chargers in LA, which isn't really a road game, right? But this market implies that there's really not that much difference between the Chargers and the Seahawks. Do you agree with that?
They're both very inconsistent in the second half of the season, but the Chargers are clearly a better team. More talented players on their team. They've just been kind of beat up. I don't make much sense of this line, but I don't want to bet
this is the identical market, which is wild.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you put it that way, but I don't want to get involved in this with what we've seen. If the Rams are in that same cycle as the Texans, where they're just fully, limp animal here, and Seahawks win going away because they have everything to play for. That said, if you like the Rams,
which I do,
I made a case for this. Did you see my parlay idea?
Yes.
So
yes, I did.
If you
I thought this was very smart. Lay it out for me, please.
If you like the Rams to win straight up,
even if you don't,
so yeah,
this is a plus CV parlay.
Yeah, it kind of is, and it's ugly because it's two big underdogs. But the Los Angeles Rams are about plus 250 on the money line. If you want to parlay that money line with the Detroit Lions at about plus 175, plus 180, you're going to get a parlay that pays about 9-1.
Mm-hmm.
So shit, it's funny. Like Ben already played it. So the fact is, once you get the first half of that leg through, you're in such a sweet spot because the Lions will take money because suddenly the Lions have
plus 186 turns into plus 140 in a blink.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you're getting a 9-1 parlay that on close will pay like 7. So it's a decent plus EV parlay that makes you have to believe in Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff in the cold, but it's another one too. And yes, if you want to do it with the Lions spread, maybe it's the same thing. Like the Lions spread is going to move. And maybe at that, if you have Rams money line parlayed with Lions plus, what are you getting, 4.5, 5 now?
That's the thing. If you want to bet the Lions, I think if you're going to take the points with the Lions because you're defending some absurdly weird quick equity that you got on the Packers, I think you absolutely have to wait until after this game is over, right?
Yeah.
But if you're worried about, well, what if the Rams win and all of a sudden this is now a competitive game and that goes down to 3? Well, in that case, then you protect yourself with a little 9-1 parlay.
Yep.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like this is airtight, solid as can be. Schedule makers did us a very, very solid here. I think the Rams.
I was mad about the scheduling at first, but then I realized there's a parlay for this. So.
Yeah, and
I'll have a small bet on this.
I really do think this is going to be a competitive game. Seahawks and the Rams played pretty close last time around. That was with Wolford. Baker Mayfield's playing fine. He's not playing great, but he's playing better than Geno Smith over the last quarter of the season. So yeah, I like the Rams and the points here. Two things I'm asking you, Andy. There are potentially, if the awards were voted today and the market is right, 2 Seahawks would get an award this year, and they are out of the playoffs currently. What gives? And what does Kenneth Walker? What does Ken Walker III have to do to lock up Offensive Rookie of the Year? What does Geno Smith have to do to get Comeback Player of the Year? And what are your thoughts on those two markets generally?
I still think there's a decent chance Saquon Barkley wins Comeback Player of the Year without playing in Week 18. Because I'm not so sure McCaffrey sees a ton of snaps.
I would be very surprised if he sees snaps.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get him taking any hits. And if Geno plays poorly, like we've seen over the past month, we've seen a little bit of that. Saquon can just take this by counting stats, and everyone at the end of the year, the last thing they saw was like, oh, we were wrong about Geno. Like, I guess we'll just give this to Saquon because he came back from an injury. So like that's a decent shot, but I don't know, like the spot that the Jets are in, that's the only reason to get Wilson some yardage is like, hey, let's go out there and get Wilson this award. Like I feel like the most likely award is Kenneth Walker out of the two. Like even in a game they win, let's say Geno looks marginal, still probably 50-50. But Kenny Walker has, I mean, even just 90 yards and a touchdown. If the Jets are doing bupkis on offense again, he might just get it. So, yeah, and Mickey Hill makes a good point. This is a Spreadopedia quote. Like he tweeted this several times. What's Geno coming back from, sucking? Like, yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that has never made sense. Like
the idea of the Seahawks getting 2 awards without even getting in playoff spots, because it's tough to sell. People, if the Seahawks are not in the playoff mix, people are going to downvote them on ballots.
Mm-hmm.
I think. And Ken Walker, I'm not sure he deserves it. He wouldn't be my offensive rookie of the year.
The offensive rookie class has been terribly weak.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
The fact that Brock Purdy is your third favorite says a lot, I believe.
Does he have a chance to steal?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't. I think a lot of the voters have been just doing this for many years, and they need to award someone who played a big part in the offense all year long.
I see. All right. Giants Philly. What does Nick Sirianni have to do to stay in the discussion for Coach of the Year?
Just win this game.
Win this game.
Huge favorites in. Go. It's a home game. It's the last thing you see is the Eagles beating a division rival to lock up the 1 seed. I know it's close at the top between the 3 of them. I still don't understand the Dable stuff, and I know there's a lot of smart people that are behind the Dable stuff and saying like it's not about the record. They say it's not about the record. It's always been about the record though. For the people that vote these, I looked, and it was a weird year, but it's been since 1990 that a Coach of the Year had fewer than 10 wins. Like a 9-7-1 record where you go 1-4-1 in your division. Like, congrats on getting the 6th seed, but you're not the Coach of the Year guy. Like, you finished 3rd in the division. I'm not so sure that's. I really love what they did, and if it were voted on properly, I think Dable probably is deserving. But the way that this award is given, it still really, really counts for how many wins you have and where you sit in the playoffs. And the Giants will have improved 5 games from last year, but so will have the Eagles, except the Eagles have the 1 seed and actually have a good shot at running through the playoffs.
They exceeded their win total more than any other team if they win this game.
Yeah, I really think it's Sirianni and Shanny, and I think Sirianni does get it if they just TCB here at home. So
you know what's doing us no favors, Andy? Thought leaders like Mina Kimes saying Dable should be the Coach of the Year today. That was a bummer. I need less of that. And actually, very, very smart handicapper made a very good point talking to him this week, saying, were the Hamlin incident, were that not to happen, Dable probably would have sewn up the award this week, because all the talk all week would have been like, Giants, just glowing Giants. Everybody just drinking the Giants blue Kool-Aid. Wow.
Again,
this seems amazing.
I really think if you sit down and if somebody actually sits down before they vote and look at things, they have 1 division win. That's not my Coach of the Year. Like
I'm not.
I know. That's just where I'm at. So, and the McDermott's team was silly.
You haven't even really mentioned Shanahan.
No, I'm saying
people going to talk themselves into Shanahan was he going to finish on like a 10-game win streak, undefeated 6-0 with Brock Purdy?
I think
there's a narrative there.
The people that vote the way they've always voted are going Dable 3 because they're like, hey, here's a couple teams that won 13, 14 games, and Shanahan, as much as love as we've given this guy over the years, like he did it with a a pretty shitty quarterback all year, and then he had to put Brock Purdy in. So, I mean, there's something for that. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of Sirianni 1-2, Dable 3. I know the steam in the media has been Dable, but I don't know if it's the people with the votes. So we'll see. Drew made a really good point. He said Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, and what was the other one? Comeback Player of the Year.
Yes.
I mean, it feels like we usually just know who's going to win these.
Yeah.
I don't think we know until we get the actual award show.
Yeah, I'm there too. It's going to be any bet made now. You're going to sweat it out. It is going to be and it's not going to be a fun month. Just waiting
East
for that.
Carolina Pirates. There we go.
The only final thought I have is I sincerely hope Sirianni does win. I think that's the right choice.
Yeah, and you talk about that too, and we've mentioned this all year. Like, Jalen Hurts is not getting an award now.
No.
Nobody else on this team is getting an award. You do need to give the Eagles something for being 14-3.
Yeah.
I think voters to say like we should award the Eagles something probably end up giving Sirianni a serious push up their ballot to 1. So yeah, this is a crazy year for awards. I know there's a couple that are just, absolute stone cold locks, but it's crazy that there's like 3 that are very much in the air, and that's fun.
Yeah.
It'd be more fun if Sirianni was 17.
If it was the other 2, that I don't have real skin in. Yes, I agree with you. It's going to be very close. I don't know. Sirianni's case is strong. 2 losses with Gardner Minshew under center, in my opinion, doesn't change the fact that you still got the 1 seed. Nobody thought, it was they were 10-1 to get the 1 seed to start the season. They should get credit for developing Hurts. They should get credit for integrating and constructing an offense that made the most of all these pieces that they added. The Eagles getting shut out of awards would be a disgrace. So let's get Sirianni some hardware.
Okay.
Let's do it.
And as for this game, this is an unbettable number. I'm not going to get involved here. We don't know the amount of Giants that are going to sit at this point. I really do think it behooves them to sit nearly anybody who would hurt their playoff chances, because they have a path where they could be in the second weekend for sure. I would love to see them, just wax the Vikings. That would be funny.
Yeah.
And truthfully, it's the same as the next game. The Arizona Cardinals are not in a spot where they're resting for the playoffs, but they have shut down Hopkins. They're starting David Bleu. Like this Arizona team is essentially the Giants' backups, and they're playing a team with playoff positioning who's a 14-point favorite. So it's the same kind of game. Probably unbettable in my mind. I don't know. Again, we have some of this stuff where these big favorites haven't been covering for the most part. If you want to take some Cardinals, I yesterday was mentioning I'd look at some Cardinals second half, but then like the Hopkins stuff isn't great.
Not great.
It becomes a real problem. So
yeah, the Cardinals look like they are full on. No one goes. They have their first round draft pick next year. Yeah, I think so. Tankathon says yes.
Yep.
The 14-point spread is a lot. I don't really know that the Niners are incentivized to win with margin here, but can't get involved one way or the other.
JJ Watt props. That's your JJ Watt retirement party props.
This is his last. Yeah, this is it.
I'm going to talk to somebody about hanging a prop for him to score a touchdown. Papa Calls just said it. Like, he has 5 in his career. Like, and again, in his retirement game, if he lines up on offense, I think the play is to just tackle him. But don't you feel like an asshole? Like,
yes,
keeping him from that? Like, again, and if you're the Niners and you're up by 3 touchdowns late and they put JJ Watt out there, don't be an asshole. Let him have it. But I depending what the score is, I may have the absolute pathetic Arizona Cardinals second half in this one.
Yeah, I like it. Arizona could realistically move themselves into the 3rd pick in the draft, which would be interesting. Kyler Murray's ACL surgery was successful. I'm not sure if you saw that, but that came through today. Not that I have any real idea what to do with that franchise going forward. They're in a very, very bad spot. Niners defense hasn't been great of late, but Nick Bosa has sewn up that award. I don't think there's really anything that's going to change the defensive player of the year voting at this point. I mean, maybe Micah Parsons has 8 sacks. It gets revisited, but probably not.
8 sacks, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Although as we get to the defensive rookie of the year, man, Aiden Hutchinson has 3 interceptions. I wish he'd have had a more consistent season.
He really started slow. That was a problem.
He did have a really nice season in the long run.
LAC Denver is an interesting one. The market has caved in here. At one point, the Chargers were favorites. They are now dogs, and a lot of that is because they're going to know their seed one way or the other.
Yeah, because it's a late game
before the game starts, and that is to say, if the Bengals take care of business and win the North, like we all are praying, fingers crossed. We're saving our prayers for more important things, I guess. But we are hopeful that the Bengals take care of the AFC North, and then this is a formality. And the Chargers at that point rest some players, and Broncos presumably move down a draft choice so that they hand over the 4th overall pick to the Seahawks, not the 3rd. Denver played with some spirit last week, but I don't know that I would count on them playing with spirit again. I am not betting this game. Yeah, even with the kind of crazy potential for the Chargers to no-show, I don't think this is a bettable one.
It is. It's the same kind of thing where, once Cincinnati wins, Denver, I guess the number is probably already adjusted. It's not the exact same as Seattle, Detroit. I probably won't be betting this one.
Yeah, I can't trust the Broncos to ultimately do much here. So skipperoonie.
If you're Denver, you just hope to see something. But
Andy, why in the world was this not 7.5, 7 all week? People really thought that.
I feel like because it was off the board at some places.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I think there was some concern on who was starting. It's so funny that oh no, we started Wentz and now we're out of the playoffs. Like, well, maybe we should get away from Wentz now. Like, it doesn't matter at this point. Start fucking Jack Del Rio at quarterback. None of it matters now. It's stupid. Like, you bleeped yourself right in the bleep last week by starting that bleep face Carson Wentz. Oh, he threw 3 interceptions. Weird. Oh my god. So
yeah, I mean,
you can't uneliminate yourself.
This is still like Dallas is going to start all these guys, right?
Yeah, Dan's building on my Red Scare joke from earlier in the season. We're going to give him credit for it, even though. Gotta think Dallas wins by margin. McCarthy has a history of taking care of commies in DC.
Dan, it's true. But Dan, you should also update your McCarthyisms a little bit, because if you didn't already know, McCarthy's having a very tough week in the nation's capital. It is not going well. Yeah. It is not going well for McCarthy this week.
The best joke about that was that they're just going to keep playing the 18th until they're declared a winner. like a golf. So that was a highbrow joke. And yeah, Casey Brown points out a very likely true fact that's funny. Ron just met Sam Howell this morning.
Alrighty, guys. No, I think the Cowboys. I think I think the 7 goes 7.5. Really, I don't know why.
Places.
Yeah, I don't know why some of the market makers are stuck on 7 here. Dallas substantially better team, and Dallas does this weird thing where even where games don't matter, the final game of the season, they still take it very, very freaking seriously, because Jerry Jones is a weird hard on about getting to 13 wins for whatever reason. All right, Dallas or pass. Detroit, Green Bay, main event. Andy, how do you handicap this one in a neutral game state?
Last week was a pain in the ass to actually grade the Green Bay Packers. If you go look, the Vikings outgained them like to the point where I had to go back drive by drive and start trying to find a spot where I could make a cutoff and say, all right, the rest of this was trash time and I shouldn't count these Vikings yards, nor should I really count these Packers yards. I wanted to get an actual grip because there was a point where it was 17-3 and the Packers had like 20 yards passing. Like a game becomes impossible to grade when a team scores 2 touchdowns with their special teams and defense. Who knows how that game turns out if we don't have that stuff right at the beginning? It turned out Minnesota is very bad from behind when they're not playing the Colts. Like don't let the Colts game fool you. This team is a front runner, or it needs to be in a close game. Apparently, Kirk looked bad, and I mentioned this yesterday. And I wish I wouldn't have had the Vikings plus 3.5 because I feel like I lose some credibility when I start saying this. But man, and I didn't watch all of the game, but I've seen some clips and people are more using the clips to make fun of it. The Minnesota Vikings didn't bring the right cleats and they never switched. If you go watch that game, 100 Minnesota Vikings fell down and in important spots. It's like you see this and the announcers say, like, you can see them on the sidelines. They're putting in the longer cleats. And they just never did. Like there were so many people that fell down. Like, I just don't understand if they didn't bring the longer cleats with. They looked like they were wearing turf shoes, for Christ's sake. So just conspiracy theory, Andy, for a hot second there. But I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Vikings. Green Bay wasn't that impressive through the air. Obviously, the run game looked good. So I think how you handicap this is how bad can the Lions defense play? Yeah. That's what matters here. That's the only thing that. It's on Reddit too. They're saying the conspiracy theory that Green Bay made them feel super wet. I mean, that checks out. They were slipping and sliding all over like they were, on roller skates. And I love some gamesmanship like that. That's hilarious. But Lions are super live to win this game because of their offense. And they're super live to get the shit kicked out of them because of their defense. Even with Rodgers not looking that great. The offense not doing much. Again, hard to grade because they didn't have to do much. Last week, they were gifted that early lead with special teams and defense. So I don't have a strong take on this, Drew. I think the number's a little too big. But at the same time, if you're betting this game right now, you're putting your life in the hands of the earlier game with Baker Mayfield and Geno. Yeah, right. Because the Lions, I know they're not going to straight up quit. Dan Campbell doesn't raise players to quit, but it's awful hard to get up for a game that means nothing. When going into the day, you had visions of wild card weekend in your head, and that's just got to sting. Knowing like we're playing a dead. It's like the cup they're playing for tennis right now, playing a dead rubber in the mixed doubles.
I thought you were going to make a joke about you're putting your fate in the tiny hands of Jared Goff.
The weather's supposed to be nice.
The weather's supposed to be
so
nice.
It has warmed. I live up here. The weather has warmed up outside of the 2-day long ice storm that we had.
I am inclined to take the points with the Lions, but I'm waiting.
You have incentive to with anyone who's sitting on the big Green Bay numbers. It's another middle spot where, boy, it would be pretty funny if the Packers won by 3 then.
Sure would be.
You've essentially funded all your free roll long shots at that point.
Having a good laugh.
Yeah, I know. God, if the Titans could lose by 6.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think if you have Packers futures, you take the points with the Lions, and you live with the result. I like the idea of marrying the money line with the Rams and the Lions a lot. And the Lions
I did play that.
The Lions run on offense very well. They're a very good offense. Don't make a mistake. It's not opponent driven entirely. It's opponent influence, certainly. Like
when they played the Bears.
Yeah, like Jared Goff's EPA per play, by the way, best in football last half of the season. That's because of his opponents. It's not because they are, he's a top 5, top 10 quarterback. He's got a good set of weapons. They're all healthy. They have a good balanced running game. Their running game can be physical too, which, if you didn't already know, is not a good matchup for the Packers defense, which is soft as tissue paper. And I think this is a game where if the Packers win and punch their ticket to the playoffs, it's because the offense finally clicks. We haven't seen the Packers offense really click on this run, which is amazing. Like, they didn't really click against the Rams, kind of at times. They are all healthy. They didn't really click against the Dolphins. That was entirely because the Dolphins threw them picks. And then last week,
they're a concussion away from this game being this game possibly not being in the
on
spot.
Saturday. 1 o'clock on Sunday. Yeah. So yes, Packers are playing with, they are a team that is dangerous if they get in, just because of who they have the quarterback and the experience of the other quarterbacks in the NFC mix. But you could probably see the same thing of the Lions too. Like, Jared Goff would after Tom Brady is the most experienced quarterback in the NFC playoff mix if the Lions get in. Right?
These two quarterbacks have been to the same amount of Super Bowls. Oh, that hurts. Nice. Like that. Like, I don't like Aaron Rodgers.
That's a little wild. The fact that Jared Goff has been in a big moment like this, I'm not expecting him to come out and no show. So I think taking the points with the Lions is the right call, and you got to wait to do it in case the Seahawks win. Because if the Seahawks win, which is 65-70% chance to happen,
blew my own mind on that one. That hurts. That hurt.
Yeah.
It's something like a synapse twisted there. Ooh.
For what it's worth, though, in his only Super Bowl appearance, Aaron Rodgers played substantially better than Jared Goff played in his only Super Bowl appearance. But yes,
give him that credit. But
yeah. So yeah, I think I'm taking the points with the Lions at some point, but I'm hopeful that it gets to 6 once we see the result of the Seahawks game. And in the weird scenario where the Rams beat the Seahawks outright, I'm going to have already parlayed that with the Lions in the plus 200 range. So could have a nice big fat, Goldilocks ticket there. Ticket. Whatever, honeypot. I
like that.
Nice little
like
honeypot ticket.
No, the honeypot is when you have a sexy spy tricks another spy.
Right. You're right. That is the correct definition of the honeypot. But yeah, it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited. We're going to hit the halftime easily. We're going to hit the halftime happily, I should say.
Yeah.
I think Packers, Niners, you got a thought on a price there? An opening price? Debo's going to be available by the looks of it.
I mean, Niners minus 21.5. It's the playoffs, and it's the Niners and the Packers. Like, when has that ever worked out? So Niners 6.5.
6.5. Okay.
6.5. What do you think? I don't know. I've been rough with my numbers today.
I think it's going to be 3.5, or I think it'll get bet to 3.5. Packers are going to get some support. I mean, it's if they punch their ticket convincingly against the Lions, then it may open 3.5.
I don't know. Like, if Debo's back and they rested CMC, they rested some players. 6 at least. I feel like maybe I'm off. I don't know. I still have the Niners as a decently high power ranking when they're healthy. Yeah, if it's Niners minus, like, people are saying 3, 3.5, 4, I will take the Niners in that bet.
Okay.
Like, I think it opens and you see which way the market goes, because that could go either. I don't think it goes either way. It either gets Green Bay support or it doesn't. I think the books might be fine with it.
All I know is I'm betting against Brock Purdy in round 1 of the playoffs, and I already, I don't really even care who the opponent is.
I feel like at this point, Shanahan is already working on that game plan of how to not lose a game because of Brock Purdy. Like, he's not looking at the Cardinals game. He's just letting somebody else, all right, put a boilerplate offense in. I'll check back with you guys in 2 weeks. Like, he's already working on that because they have a massive liability on that roster, and it's such a good team otherwise. But to be fair, Brock Purdy hasn't done anything crazy wrong yet. Like, he hasn't had a real shit game because it's such a good scheme. They've done such a good job of it was crazy in the first game where it's just like, oh my God, they're just letting this guy go wild. I can't believe that was the game plan from the get-go, but they've kind of tapered that back. And especially if you have Debo back, like it just turns into let the offensive stars do what they will. So
okay.
Be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle's playing out of his mind lately, which helps. He's carried the load in my mind in the absence of Garoppolo.
I fully expected Purdy to have a full-on win game. And okay. I don't know, maybe he's just even keeled enough that that's not going to happen. And boy, my Canadians are in the finals, the under 20s, young men of Canada. We stand on guard for thee. Kelly had me play a future for him. So
I like it.
All right. Well, that's the last deep dive of the regular season. Well, obviously we'll be back for some halftime shows. We'll do playoff games. We'll do some. We'll probably talk about the playoff. Do you want to do playoff episodes?
Yeah, I think so.
Call it for the season. Okay.
Well, I mean, let's assume that they play the playoffs. I guess if they do, then yes.
If the playoffs happen, we don't know what's going to happen with all this. This could get real weird here in the next couple weeks. So keep on your toes. You guys are always great about that. You're always grabbing early numbers. Some of you guys are awesome about that. So keep on your toes for some of this stuff. And as we turn over into Aussie Open season / playoffs. Ooh. January is so fun.
God, the tennis this week has been really good already. The women's side especially. Oh my God, is this competitive? Did you watch any of that Sabalenka, Ludmilla?
Yeah, when she turns it on and just goes full on. Oh, I awesome. Can just. I'm basically a man. I can just hit right through you.
Oh, it's crazy.
She just has crazy power. So cheers, guys. Please hit the thumbs up in the YouTube channel if you had any fun. Consider subscribing if you liked this show, or at least do it to make me feel good about myself. I like to watch those numbers go up. And we'll see you guys Sunday night.
I don't even know who I like on the women's side. I think the price is too rich for Iga, though. She's playing well, but this isn't her surface. This isn't her speed. Somebody's going to nip her. Who's your outsider in the women's?
Queen.
Yes.
And again, draw dependent.